a video about checking fluids in a car. Then I thought, well, you know, why don't you impress your husband and go out and check the fluids in a car? So we'll do that right now, and we'll show you how to do it the best way. Now every car is a little bit different and fluids can be placed in different areas. So I'll show you just a general idea of where in the car the fluids might be and what fluids they are. First off, normally you have your windshield washer fluid, which will kind of have a diagram of a windshield with the fluid coming up and out. You'll just lift the top and cap it off, which this happens to already be topped off. Back here, near the brake master cylinder, this would be your brake fluid. So what you'd want to do is check the level, take off the top, make sure it's up there, and usually it has a minimum and max mark on the outside of the reservoir, usually on both sides. And that happens to take DOT3 fluid, which is labeled on the top of the cap for it. Now this particular car has a coolant reservoir that's black and hidden down here. Mostly you have a big clear tank, kind of like that brake fluid we were looking at. Nice big tank, at which point you would take off the coolant cap. This one has a leveler. You would check the fluid leveler. It's clear, so you can't really tell, but you would make sure that the leveler is good. And or if it has a reservoir, a clear one, you would check where it says minimum and max, and generally put it at cold temperature, max where you want to be. That way it's all the way topped off. Install this back the correct way. And this particular car doesn't have power steering fluid. It has electronic power steering. But same, usually somewhere around here, like on a Honda or somewhere on the top of the engine, you'd see the same thing, a reservoir with a cap on it, a little picture of a little steering wheel. You would pull it out and have a little stick on it with a leveler like you saw there. You would just make sure it's up to level and apply the correct fluid. That way everything would be good to go. Again, oil. Oh, oil. Now, over here, which later on we'll do a video showing full oil changing, but here you would pull the stick, and generally I'd want a rag. You'd want to pull the stick, you want to clean the stick off with a rag. Right now we have soap inside, I'll just use my hand.
Matt, do you do that with the car hot or cold?
You generally want to do it with the car cold, but it being hot usually doesn't make a difference, as long as you're using a dipstick and not having an electronic oil checker on the dash like in a Mercedes. So really the temperature doesn't matter, other than watching out for not burning yourself. And usually you'll see a thatched area on the stick like you see here, and you'd want to mark it up to the top of the thatched area or somewhere right below, being careful not to overfill. That could cause oil pressure issues in a lot of finely tuned engines.
Does this car have transmission fluid?
This car does, but I believe it is a sealed transmission. That way you can't actually check the transmission fluid and there is no dipstick. But generally speaking, it would be a red top stick just like this one. It'd be located somewhere in the back or somewhere over here. And the same thing you would do, you would make sure that the dipstick on the transmission is you're checking it while the engine's running. Sorry, there's a plane. Generally you check it while the engine's running, not while it's off. A lot of people will check it while it's off and think it's low. You make sure the engine's cranked up, running, the car's running, you check it, and again, fill it in the filter period to the correct level within the engine off. But generally, those are all different fluids. You want to make sure they're well maintained. You want to check them I would say about every 3 weeks or so. Just come out to the car, make sure everything's where it is, because if it gets low, you could have issues with brakes and or cooling and or oil related issues, air pressure wise. Again, this has been Matt from DW Campbell Goodyear on Cobb Parkway. Please come by and see us.